Hi, this is Sandhya Mendonca, and you're listening to my podcast, Spotlight with Sandhya. Writers, scientists, artists, business leaders, politicians, you will find them and many other engaging people right here talking about what they do and how it impacts the world. If you were to ask anyone who's the greatest showman of English theatre in Bangalore, the answer would be Arjun Sajnani. His theatrical productions are spectacular in every aspect. He's such a stickler for perfection that he's been known to reduce full-grown adults to nervous school children. If you were to pop into the famous Sunny's, a restaurant he runs with his partner Vivek Ubayakar, there's a relaxed vibe. But what lets you, as a diner, enjoy the charm of the place and the delicious menu is the same push for perfection. One of the famous diners at Sunny's was Girish Karnad, a literary giant, actor and director. Arjun and Girish struck up an enduring friendship, and that resulted in Arjun directing Karnad's plays and also a film in English. Arjun is back on stage with a production of Girish Karnad's Crossing to Talikota. What is the play about, Arjun?
The play is about... thank you for that wonderful introduction, Sandhya. Greatest and all are big words, and I hope I can live up to them. But surely we are giving it a good, solid go. Crossing is about the downfall of the Vijayanagar Empire. And the downfall of what Girish has done is just taken that event, that happening, and delved into why this should have happened at all. From the lead character Ramaraya, who is the ruler regent of Vijayanagar, to the four sultans who border him, who eventually orchestrated his downfall. He probes into each character as to why this kind of cataclysmic event should have taken place. When, for many years before that, the sultans and Ramaraya himself had lived in peace and harmony. What happens is that Ramaraya is an aging ruler, like an aging star, and suddenly he is struck by the fact that he was never made emperor because of his caste. So, usual themes that populate the Karnad plays: revenge, ambition, greed, and caste most importantly. So that led to the chip on his shoulder. That led him to try and, at 70 plus, to assert his own magnificence, assert his power, assert his dominance over the Deccan. And eventually, though the sultans were no friends of each other, they combined forces, as many times politically people do, in order to defeat this guy.
Why do you think the play is relevant today?
Oh, I think it has a lot of resonance. We live in times that are unpredictable, to say the least. We have a very, very strong ruler in India today, and oftentimes that can be taken as the kind of hegemony that you don't need, perhaps. So Girish questions the use of authority, and the use of authority is something that we have to question today, I think, as well. Plus the caste system, way back in 1565, it was there. It was a constant reminder that things were not quite equal and democratic, and here we are today with the same thing. So many aspects of the play resonate with what we are experiencing today.
As a director, what kind of license do you take with a script? And I'm asking you specifically because I read a rather negative review in the Hindu where the reviewer liked what you did with the play but felt that the script was weak. There wasn't really too much time for you to discuss it with Girish before he passed away, right? Once he had given you the script. So how much liberty could you take in kind of toughening up the script or fleshing it out more?
Well, in all honesty, just before he passed away, I told Girish that I was changing the beginning, that I didn't see how that could go from this to this to this. There were like 3 time zones we were traversing at that point. So I said, I can't handle it, because at that time, the conception of using technology and LED panels had not still entered my head. So I had to think of how I was going to transport people from year A to year B to year C. He said, the play is yours, do what you want with it. My subsequent production, this current one, I took into account feedback such as what you're giving me, and understood why the audience had difficulties getting into the script from the very start. So I changed the play from the get-go. I changed the beginning so that it gave people a frame of reference. And this time around, 90% or 95% of the people have enjoyed the experience. Yes, the script is somewhat tenuous, let's say, and it doesn't actually go as far as it could have gone, perhaps. But my actors and I have probed as deeply as we can into it to give it the kind of humanity, the kind of integrity that a Girish Karnad script has to have. And I have retained, I think, what, of course, I have 99% of the play is all Girish. So, but we have given it a frame of reference, a sphere in which I think it works. And it works better this time around than it did the first time.
That's good to know. I've always thought that Girish Karnad was a feminist, and he gives a lot of very strong lines to the female characters. And that's what I felt about the two women
yes,
in this. And do you think, since we're talking about the relevance now, how is it that what they stand for can be seen with today's perspective?
Oh, yeah. Well, the Begum, of course, is a manipulator. She's a political being. She has it in her blood. I mean, she is the one who puts the entire idea of uniting the 4 sultans, all of this. So her manipulations can be related to so many leaders that we've had in the past, female leaders. Satyabhama, the wife, could have been a long-suffering woman who she also she could have used a scene or two more, I feel, in order to strengthen the very aspect that you're talking about. But he has given her one important scene where she challenges him and says, "For what reason do you have to go into this war at all? You have lived, you have done what you have done with the sultans, you've managed them. We are old, we don't need to. Please let other people fight the battles." So, though she says please and all, she leaves very, very upset that her point of view has been disregarded by him. But he's an autocrat. I mean, he doesn't listen to anybody but himself. A bit like King Lear at the end, he's a broken man. And we are left with a shell of the man who we saw earlier in the play. And, that gives it the sort of humanity and the humanist touch that allows you to feel a little sympathy for a person who is really an anti-hero. He's
right.
He's a bad man.
It's interesting that you said you likened it to King Lear, because when I saw the play, that's what the imagery
when
that
I read
come
it,
to
that
mind.
immediately came to mind. I mean, of course, Shakespeare is like a role model for Girish.
Absolutely.
He's done so much work that is reminiscent of and derived from Shakespeare's stories and his approach, etc.
How many of Girish's plays have you directed now?
Fire in the Rain, Tughlaq, Crossing, Bali, 4.
4. And one film.
And film of
Fire and the Rain.
Yes, yeah.
That was quite an adventure, wasn't it?
Oh, that was an adventure and a half, and I must tell you, because I'm very proud. Though I'm not a good parent and I don't keep mementos of these things. But when Girish came back from London, he was in London when the film was released, and he came back and he met me shortly thereafter. He said, "You know, Arjun, your review in the New York Times. If I were you, I would blow it up, put it on my bedroom wall, and read it every day." It was so laudatory of the kind of approach we had taken in the film itself, the performances, etc., etc. So, you know, I have had great success with Girish, in partnership with Girish, and I'm hoping that this time around, as I said, we finished shows 10 days ago in Bangalore. This time around, the audiences have responded to the script as well. Earlier, they didn't, because it was a bit here and there. So we've tightened it, closed it up, and here we are.
And you're taking it next to Bombay?
To Bombay, we are at the NCPA, at the JBT Auditorium, which is this lovely stage set for the opera. But I needed something big and expansive. And actually what happened was that we were there 3 years ago, March 13th to the day. We were in makeup ready for opening night. And we were called to the office and told that no show, everything is cancelled. 46 of us had gone.
But that is the lockdown.
Because
the fast
of COVID.
Lockdown, yes.
The first and we had gone on what eventually just turned into a junket, you know, of fun and drinking and drowning one's sorrows. That's all we did. And we were lucky to get back the very next day. We got seats and all. But what happened was, because we were so ready, I saw this theater, the stage, my stage, as it was going to look in the performance. And I swore to Nushin, who is the marketing head, and Binaifa, girls at the NCPA, and I told them, I don't care, I have to perform in this theater, this play. I'm so glad in a way that we got 3 years that I really studied the script again and again and again. And I studied it for two reasons. One was I knew I was going to do it again. And I said, you know, this gloss is all good, but we have to go deeper into this thing. And then I had nothing to do during COVID. And I said, let me turn it into a film script, which I did. I broke it down to a film script. Shama Zaidi read it. She said, oh, it's just like a play. So I said, then give me a person who will do it. A, translate it into Urdu, Dakhni, all of that. Mm-hmm. And B, give it a filmic format. So we got together with Javed Siddiqui, who is this wonderful writer. And he worked on the script. I went to Bombay 2-3 times. So those insights that came in turning it into a movie have helped me so much in approaching it again on the stage. That very detailed, it was almost like introspection, like you're looking into yourself and saying, how did I do this? Why did I do this? All of that. So it became, and I must say my actors responded to my going deeper very well themselves, because then they found something that they could actually latch onto and find things in the script that we had not. It was such a big production earlier, and we had so little time that, we got it up, and it was a beautiful production. But we may have missed some of the nuances and some of the depth with which Girish normally writes. Normally it's just up there, but here we had to look and look hard and look deep, which we have done, I think.
So what about the film then? Is it also going to be a film?
The film is, the script is ready. Looking out for a producer.
Okay. OTT perhaps?
Of course, yeah. And the thing is that that was one of the reasons that I wanted to go to Bombay. I wanted to show it to the industry capital, for television, for film, for stage. And I'm hoping that people will come. I've already, I contacted so many people. I always do, because a cast comes to mind as you're writing this. So, of course, I was in touch with Nasir, who came during COVID to Sunny's quite often. So we got a chance to chat. He's seeing the show Sunday night, I hope.
Okay.
I had also sent the script to Shabana, but let's see how it pans out. Because now the script is very strong. Has a wonderful writer who's handled it. Has given me lovely new scenes, and we've taken it to where it needs to go.
So another interesting thing in this production is that it features your sister Veena and your niece Susan.
Yes.
And you worked with both of them before. How was it to direct your family members?
Tough. In one word.
Okay. Is it tougher than... I know you give a hard time to the others too. How is it tougher for family members?
Well, Susan is that much younger, so I can be tough. I'm tough with Veena as well. I may get some resistance, but we have to cross those bridges and we have to cross those avenues in order to get where we want to get. So, yeah, but, I've worked with Veena for so many years and so many lovely, lovely plays, so many nice performances.
Absolutely.
That in this one, I think she does shine. And we have... Susan is a natural, and she's also trained. And so when we did Venus and Fur with Nakul Bhalla and Susan George, it was so easy. She's a director's actress.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
yes.
She listens and she takes it in, and I have only respect for her abilities, as I do for Ashok, who I've worked with in all of Girish's plays. Ashok has been my star and continues to be in this one. He's a consummate performer, and it was lucky that Girish wrote this play for older people.
One of the things that I've realized. I've been watching your plays now,
for years.
For years.
30 years.
Let's not count how many years.
Yes, okay.
But I've seen the same actors in other plays. But how is it when they are in your productions, they're able to transcend whatever, personality they have and become the character and take it to such a level that I've never seen them do in any other production?
Well, that's a huge compliment, and I really appreciate that coming from you, a person who is, involved in the arts very much so. And Alan, of course, was a great critic. And I do demand. I don't let them get away with shortcuts. And I do. When I was on Broadway, I learned how to mount an enormous production. Those 4, 5, 6 months were for me the most seminal in learning what it takes. I knew how to direct because I learned that in college, but how to mount a production of that size, what to look for, the small details in inflection, in delivery. So it all comes to happen. And now it's much easier for me because all these actors have worked with me for so many years. So it's, they know what to expect. I know what to expect. But I take them wherever they have to go. And I'm delighted that this is their reputation with me. And I think it's such a sanguinary and such a wonderful feeling to have that the actors trust you and you trust them.
So it's like your unofficial Arjun Sajnani repertory.
Unofficial.
Unofficial, because you don't call it that.
No, I don't call it that.
Okay, tell me, what sparked your interest in theatre, and when did you decide that you're going to focus on direction and stuff?
I don't even know. I've lived, I won't say nomadic, but it's almost nomadic. life. I directed my first play immediately out of college in the US, in Tennessee. And it was Neil Simon's Odd Couple. And it was such a success that my drama teacher, told me, this is your calling. Don't give it up. Of course, I didn't continue to study drama and all of that. I went into I don't know what. Anyway, I've sort of, but then when I became an actor, I came back to India, and then I directed Renu, I directed Veena, there were so many plays I did, and my interest and I suppose my experience made me a better director with every show that I did. Eventually, Amadeus was my breakthrough moment with Terry White and Tuffy and Veena. Tuffy was my, like Ashok is today. Tuffy was my star from so many productions. Then I got some people in from the US. I got a choreographer in. We did Day in Hollywood, Night in the Ukraine. Ivan Heng I got from Singapore to come in and do M. Butterfly. Joshua Finkel came and did Kiss of the Spider Woman. So somehow, Sandhya, I have managed to harness the talent that I know exists out there and get them here and do for me what they did abroad. Joshua was a Broadway understudy to the main role in Kiss of the Spider Woman, and he agreed to come for a price, but he agreed to come and do this show with me. And it was again, working with him was another experience that taught me how to approach something like this. So I've been directing since I was 21. Of course, the very first directing attempt was when I was 9 years old, and we were in Khyber Pass Mess in a little flat after my father died. And Veena was the crown prince, and Renu was the fairy godmother, and the one beautiful neighbor of ours was Cinderella. And two poor things that I put in as so that was like at 9 years old, we charged 2 rupees.
Fantastic. Okay, that brings me to my next question about funding for theatre. In the past, when you directed your spectacular productions, you did have a corporate sponsor.
I did have a sponsor, yes.
How are you managing these days, and where is it going now?
I have to say I have a lot of goodwill in the corporate world. So when Britannia, my association with Britannia sort of ended, they changed course and I changed course. And so since then, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw has been a great help. She has always supported my productions. Crossing to Talikota was particularly interesting because it was a huge production. I had to spend a lot of money. And Girish told Nandan Nilekani that he was going to get me to do this, or that I wanted to do this. And Nandan called me up and said, I'll fund it. So a certain amount of funding came from there. So all I can say is that I'm blessed, and I've been inordinately lucky to get the kind of support that I do. But yes, theatre needs the support.
Look at this. Years of theatre. And you just have to look for some well-meaning friend or veteran.
In this case,
this is it.
In this case,
suppose there was no Nandan Nilekani to step in.
Yeah.
Suppose there was no Kiran Mazumdar to step in.
Yeah.
Would we have seen these productions?
I doubt it.
So what can be done, you think, to make sure that there is? And it doesn't matter which party you owe allegiance to. You come with a good script, you come with a good thing. You should be able to get funding.
Funding for English theatre is always tough. Funding for Kannada theatre is even tougher, I think, in a way.
Yeah.
And therefore, the productions are so low on the scale of perfection.
Swalpa, just muddy all the time.
And I wish there was something within. I don't think it's going to be the government that's going to give for English theatre. I think it would have to be a corporate thing. Like someone like the Deccan Herald used to have a festival. But what you got to do a production for that festival was never enough to create a beautiful piece of theatre.
And then the actors need to be paid too if they're going to devote. It's okay when you're working with more veteran actors who have another source of income, who have their own factories and plantations. But what about the
so many young people? So many young people are now trying to be actors and trying to be professionals in the business. And they will get there. I mean, they're fortunate in that they are like Mahir Mohiuddin, who's my Adil Shah in this play. Wonderful little actor, and he's young and he will go places. And I feel very strongly that I've shown a talent that perhaps was not shown before. Much as you said, this boy has done a lot of work in the past, but nothing has been memorable like this will be memorable. So, yes, it needs support. It really needs support, and I think it's corporate rather than governmental. So it doesn't matter which party and all you're at, as long as the scripts are and scripts for the theatre in English, they're not really vetted to the extent that some other things are vetted, like cinema. So that's a fortunate thing for us. But we hope that it'll only the net will only widen and the support will be forthcoming. I think there are Birlas and Urdu Adhyam and that sort of thing. Whistling Woods is an acting school. So once these things start happening, but it'll be in the future, I think, lies a lot in regional languages. But I wish English theatre would not die out at all, because that is a part, just like English is a part of our upbringing and our culture. I think that theatre is also
very much so. I mean, I think we cannot discard it. No. It can be there even as we embrace our own ethnicity.
Of course.
We're not losing anything. That's why
it's so important it was so important for me to switch from Western theatre to regional, to ethnic Indian theatre.
The story is set in India, performed by Indians with our Indian accents.
Yes, and you're intrinsically in it from the very beginning. You're not adopting anything that, of course, it's always fun to do a Tudor play like Man for All Seasons we did, Amadeus we did. But this grounds you a lot more, and that's very important for the theatre.
Have you done any other Indian playwrights' scripts other than
No, but Girish? I'm planning to.
Okay, who's that? And what is the script?
Well, years and years and years ago, when B.V. Karnad did Jokumar Sami with B.J. Shri.
Okay.
I was visiting India at that point, and Paula Bilgin was an English gal who was doing a movie with Girish, Satyu, and Karan called W Nina de Magane.
Right.
And we met, and she said, "Oh, you love the theatre. I've been invited to this thing. Come." So I went along. It was a Chitrakala Parishad outdoor. Sandhya, I have never been so bowled over by anything. I thought it was just a magnificent piece of theatre. Music, dance, story, everything. And it was just, well, of course we say simply put together, but to put together a simple thing is the most difficult thing in the world. So I said at some point I'm going to do this play in English. So I'm hoping my next production, which I think will be the end, will be Jokumar Sami.
Chandrasekhar Kambar.
Yeah.
I played the role of Shari when I was in college.
Oh.
In the very same play.
Yes.
It's a fantastic play, and I really hope you do it soon.
Yes.
It'll be brilliant.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah. So, break a leg in Bombay, Arjun.
Thank you
so much for being in the podcast.
Yes, and we looking forward to seeing audiences March 31st, April 1 and 2 at the NCPA at JBT. I wish you could come. Perhaps you will.
Yes, you never know.
You never know.
You
Thank
never
you,
know.
Sandhya. Thank you so much. It's been such a delight.
And to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Spotlight with Sandhya as much as I did. Do subscribe to the podcast. I would love to hear from you. The links are in the bio. I'll be back soon with another interesting guest. Until then, take care.